Aloha, welcome to Kensho Quest. In this video, I'm going to share tips for packing airplane snacks to enjoy on your next flight.
Cookie pack and iPad and what is this? Fruit roll.
We're going to take a look at some of the TSA rules that apply when bringing food on board in your carry-on bag.
1, 2, 3,
Aloha!
We are Kensho Quest.
We travel to open our minds and our hearts.
Let's make friends around the world.
Our family is preparing for a big trip to Phuket, Thailand. It's actually going to be a two-part trip where we'll have a flight from Hawaii to Los Angeles, California, and a few days later we'll fly from Los Angeles to Phuket, Thailand. So that's going to be a long 20-hour flight, that second one. So I'm preparing what snacks to bring on board. That's our number one tip for traveling with kids, is to pack plenty of snacks. Let's take a look at how to pack those snacks that you want to bring on board in your carry-on bag. We're going to be talking about some TSA rules. That stands for Transportation Security Administration. So these rules apply to domestic flights within the USA or if you're on a flight departing from the USA. Keep in mind there are different rules in different countries. First of all, just generally, yes, you normally are allowed to bring food onto the airplane in your carry-on bags, and you're also allowed to put food into your checked bags as well. Now there's going to be more restrictions on the items that you bring onto the plane in your carry-on, and that's what we're talking about here, since we're talking about snacks that you would eat during your flight. The first tip is to pack snacks all together in one location in your carry-on bag, and preferably to pack them in clear plastic bags. So the reason for this is it makes it easy to simply pull them out of your carry-on bag and place them in a tray to go through the X-ray machine. Because often foods and powders will trigger the alarm when your bags are going through the X-ray scanner. So if you have them already separated out from your bag, then the TSA officer can simply see what it is and see that it's food. Whereas if you have them buried in separate places inside your bag, they may need to search your bag and be rummaging around in your bag and touching a lot of its contents. So it's much easier for you just to put it in a bag and take it out as you pass through security. Next up, food items that you take onto the airplane with you are subject to the 311 liquids restriction rule. If you aren't familiar with the 311 rule, it refers to bringing on liquids in containers that are 3.4 ounces, which is 100 milliliters or smaller, packed in a 1 quart size bag, and you get to bring on 1 bag per person. So for 311, 3.4 ounce containers, 1 quart bag, 1 bag per person. Now this isn't just for liquids, it applies to liquids, gels, aerosols, and within that is also pastes. So anything with a runny, liquidy texture is going to fall under this rule. If you want to bring some bigger liquid food with you, you can pack that into your checked baggage that you're going to check in before your flight. Now for the liquids rule, it's the size of the container that matters. So I couldn't take on my almost empty almond butter, say if it had just 3 ounces left in it, because this container is too big. I also couldn't scoop out 3 ounces and put it into a container that's larger than 3.4 ounces. If I wanted to take some out, I have to make sure I have a small little 3 ounce container to put it in. So for something like almond butter, it's easier just to get small little packets, like these ones from Justin's, or also RX, like the RX bars offers little packs of almond butter. This one is 1.15 ounce, so it's plenty small enough, and I'm going to pack it into my liquids bag. Now, often when you hear people talk about the liquids rule, the 311 rule, they're talking about toiletries. So things like shampoo, conditioner, toothpaste. I have here a little travel size bottle of nail polish remover. This is 3 ounces. Now the liquids rule refers to all the liquids you'll be bringing on the plane in your carry-on. So if you are packing things like nail polish remover, shampoo, those go into your quart size bag, the same bag that your liquid foods like your almond butter go into. You don't get separate bags for those, you get just 1 quart size bag per person for all of your liquids, whatever types of liquids they may be. We hardly ever travel with liquid toiletries anymore. We use solid shampoo bars and conditioner bars, solid bars of soap, tooth powder instead of toothpaste. So if you're interested in that, you can watch my separate video on our favorite solid travel toiletries. So I personally don't have too many liquid toiletries. I have like the nail polish remover, I have some contact solution, but personally I would probably just pack those in my checked suitcase since I am going to be checking a bag. If you're flying carry-on only, then all your liquids into one bag. Now, if you'll also be packing some dry food snacks, you don't have to fit those all into your quart size bag. You can put them in a separate bag. So for instance, I have this gallon size Ziploc bag here with the dry snacks packed inside of it. You just want to keep them in a confined space. Previously, we were putting things in our snack bag and we could have that open and going through security. That'd probably be fine too, but they just recommend using a plastic bag. I have some other items here in my liquids bag. I have some olives. So in case those are packaged in like a salt water, if there's any sort of liquid inside it, it needs to be in the liquids bag. Another example is this Rescue Remedy lozenges. These are liquid center, so I'm going to put those in my liquids bag to be safe. Now there are some exemptions to that liquids rule that restricts it to 3.4 ounces packed in a quart size bag. One of the exemptions is for baby food. So this little baby food pouch actually is 3.2 ounces. It falls within that, but you could have baby food packed in a slightly larger container. For example, I've taken yogurt on before that was bigger than the 3.4 ounces. And you can bring on a reasonable amount of baby food for your baby. So that will be up to the discretion of the particular TSA officer who's there when you're going through the security checkpoint if they think it's reasonable. Maybe you can explain, for instance, my baby eats every 2 hours one of these pouches and we have a 20-hour flight, and because of that I'm going to need to bring 10 of these on and see if they agree with you. I'm personally bringing just one of this local punahele baby food that's made here in Hawaii. I thought it was really cool that they have flavors like this one is made with Okinawan sweet potato, taro, and banana, so they have different local flavors. I'm bringing this just for a little entertainment for my baby. He also eats the food that the rest of us eat. Now for something like this that's an exception, you will want to again separate this out of your carry-on bag going through screening so that they can see it. There is another exception to the liquids restrictions for formula, breast milk, and juice. You can bring those on in larger quantities for your baby or young toddler. So for instance, I could bring my baby's Hydro Flask water bottle filled through security, but since it's on the small side, I'd probably pack this Hydro Flask that's a bit bigger, filled with water, specifically for my baby. I would separate it out from my luggage going through screening, and most likely the officer will open it, hold a little test strip over it, just to test, make sure it is water when I take it through. The rest of our family, they will have to pack their water bottles empty, and only once we get through security, then they can fill them up. If you're a breastfeeding mom, you are allowed to bring breast milk on the plane, even if your baby's not traveling with you. Perhaps you're going away for a short work trip and going to be pumping and bringing that breast milk back with you. So you can bring breast milk in a reasonable quantity on board, even if your baby's not accompanying you. Another thing to think about if you are bringing something like breast milk on board that needs to stay cool is the ice packs. So you can bring an ice pack through security in the US if it's frozen completely solid. But if it's a bit mushy and squishy and melted like this one is, that's not gonna pass it. They'd probably make me throw this away. So have it frozen completely solid when you pass through security, or just don't bring it. For us, since we're going to have a 19-hour flight to Singapore, then a 1-hour layover, and a 1-hour flight from Singapore to Thailand, if we have to pass through security at the airport in Singapore, something like a melted ice pack isn't gonna cut it. So I'm not gonna use this at all on our long flight because it's probably gonna melt in that 19 hours. I'm just gonna put it into our checked bag instead. In addition to rules that apply to foods that are liquids, there are also rules that apply to powders. So if you're going to be bringing a powdered substance on board, it's best to bring it in a container that's smaller than 12 ounces. This hot chocolate here is 12 ounces, for example, because if you bring a powder through security in 12 ounces or larger, they're likely to do additional screening, which may involve opening it. So if you're planning to bring like a protein powder for making shakes or a collagen powder, this one's 16 ounces, that'd be a bit big for bringing on the plane. This 24-ounce one, we will definitely be packing these into our checked luggage. We'll bring a couple of these with us when we go. So it's not to say that you can't bring powders, you can bring them on board. I just recommend that you bring a container that's smaller than 12 ounces on board. A tip to make it a little bit easier to get through the security screening is to sign up for TSA Pre-Check. So yes, you're still supposed to follow all of the rules, such as the 311 rule. However, you may not be required to take things like food or your laptop out when you pass through security, but they may also ask you to. It's really up to the officer's discretion. Now for some pro tips of types of snacks to bring on board. One that I really like is to bring a type of food where you just add hot water. Since we don't eat gluten, we often don't eat the meals that are provided on the airplane, but it's still nice to have some sort of hot meal instead of just a packaged snack. So something like an instant oatmeal, you can just ask the flight attendant for some hot water. This is great because it's already a bowl in itself too. I just want to make sure I pack a spoon as well. I also got some of these soup packs by Wild Zora. These are great if you follow a certain diet, such as gluten-free or paleo diet. They have good ingredients in them, and what I'm planning to do with this is put it inside my hydro flask that I will bring empty through security, put it in my tumbler, ask for some hot water on the plane, and just kind of sip it because it's just got small little pieces of food in there. So if I need something to lift me up, warm me up, a little pack of soup can be a nice snack. I also have some echinacea tea bags to keep me healthy during the flight. The snack that our family enjoys the most bringing on the plane is a good homemade baked snack that we make ourselves. So we often make something like butter mochi or cookies or muffins, and that just feels a bit more filling than a lot of prepackaged snacks you can get. So we'll probably bake some of those up here soon and put them in something like a stasher bag. We also have brought small glass containers on the plane, but those are a bit heavier. So just to bring on board something that's gonna make you feel a little bit more full. And if you're gonna be bringing something like wet wipes to clean your hands, these also often trigger the alarm going through security. So you might wanna have those with your snacks and just have them out separately in the tray when you pass through security. So you don't have to dig through your bag afterwards to show that they're wet wipes. Now those rules we've covered so far are specifically TSA rules. There may be different rules depending on exactly where you're traveling to or from. For instance, if you're coming from one of the Hawaiian Islands and going to the mainland USA, then you may not be able to bring things like fresh fruit on board. Now, if you're traveling domestically within the mainland, you can bring fresh fruit like apples, oranges, bananas as a snack on board. I was planning to pack for my daughter almond butter and some apple slices because that's a snack she really likes. And I got some bowls to bring on board too, so it's not a total mess with a 3-year-old eating almond butter. However, now looking at the rules more closely, I may not be able to bring apples on our flight from Hawaii to Los Angeles. It's because the fruit may be carrying a pest, some kind of insect, it may be carrying a disease, and they don't want to bring that into the crops in the mainland. So that's why it's restricted. However, when we're going from Los Angeles to Singapore, I could pack her some apple slices and almond butter on that flight. If you are going to be flying to another country, you probably want to consume snacks like fresh fruit while you're on the plane because there can be rules in various countries of what types of fruits you can bring into the country. So we just try to eat it all up before we land. So fresh fruits may be a no-go when traveling from Hawaii to the mainland, but you can bring things like packaged freeze-dried fruits. My kids love things like these strawberries or banana chips. You can also bring processed packaged dried fruit. Items like that are okay. It's just the fresh fruit they're worried about. Now, if you're outside of the US, there may be other restrictions. For instance, a lot of airlines in Southeast Asia prohibit bringing durian fruit onto the plane because it has quite a powerful aroma. So just keep in mind to limit bringing foods on board that may be a nuisance to other passengers. For me, I'm always trying to find healthy snacks. I am packing some of my kids' favorite treats, like these little cookie packs and some fruit rolls. I have a lollipop for my daughter in there, but we also want to pack some healthy snacks as well, especially for our long haul flight. So we have some things like these beef sticks and some olive packs. If you can find something that has protein and fat, That's going to help everybody feel satiated for longer. In the past, I packed all of the family snacks together in one big snack bag, but since they're supposed to be in clear bags this time around, I kind of made everybody their own. My snack bag, my daughter's snack bag. She's been walking around for a couple days now, super excited about her airplane snacks. She can't wait for airplane day so she can dig into those. Once I have all of our snacks packed into their clear bags, I'll be packing them all together in our Logan and Lenora Weekender bag. This bag is also going to hold pillows and blankets for the kids, so items that we're going to want on the plane to keep us all comfortable. I hope you found at least one helpful tip in this video for packing snacks for your next airplane flight. Please subscribe to follow our family's adventure as we head to the Phuket Sandbox in Thailand.
Okay, now it's Saturday.